Hello and welcome to the ScrapbookPal YouTube channel. This is Colleen Beamish from Humor Bean Cards, and today I'm making a card featuring the Cheerful Chirps collection from Spellbinders. Today I have these two products here that I'll be featuring on this card. First of all, I have Flying High, which die cuts out an adorable bird. I think you could compare it to a macaw or a cockatoo. Maybe it's a cockatoo, I'm not sure, but it has the foliage to go with it as well as a branch for that bird to sit on. And then I have the Spread Your Wings sentiments that have sweet, scripty sentiments covering a variety of subjects. Unfortunately, this set doesn't come with coordinating dies, but we can definitely make that work. So I went ahead and die cut out all of the things I think I might be using on the card. So there's some spares here, but I cut out a bunch of these big leafy greens here. So there's only one of this shape in the die set, so I cut it out 4 times out of green paper. And now I'm just going in with a blending brush from Altenew, and I'm just doing some little ink blending around the edges. Now what this does is just adds depth and dimension, so you don't just have a flat piece of paper. It doesn't make a huge difference, so you can definitely skip this step, but I think it really adds a bit of detail, and kind of like the more love you put into your card, the better it'll end up looking. This is a little bit of love for this card. And then I actually decided I want to bring in some turquoisey teal color. So I just went back over some of the leaf edges with this teal, and again, it doesn't make a huge difference. I'm not even sure someone looking at it would notice, but I just wanted to see what would happen if I added teal to the green. Now I continued this process with all of these even smaller leafy bits, and some of the pieces in this set are so teeny tiny that it's really not worth trying to ink blend. So again, this is a step that you could skip if you wanted to. You could also have the same effect using Copic markers if you just want to do some coloring over top and add some shadows. Now onto the branches, I actually cut this out of a dark orange color that looks kind of brown, and then I'm going in with Pinkfresh Warm Dough to ink blend over it. And I'm just going so crazily, like there's no rhyme or reason to this. It's really just to make it stand out a little bit more rather than just a flat piece of cardstock. Now I have all the components of my bird here. I used different shades of orange, so the darkest orange here is the tail and the 2 wings, and I'm just going in with a ink color that matches the paper that I used. I just used scraps from my stash, so I don't have the list of all the colors of cardstock or even the colors of inks, but all the other products I use, such as the die set and the inks and the tools I use, those will be linked down in the description below, and you can find them at ScrapbookPal.com. Now I'm just, again, adding those orange touches. Just here you can kind of see on the main body of the bird, I'm adding a gradient so that it's a little bit darker at the bottom. As I do this process, I am thinking kind of where the shadows would be. So at the bottom of the head, you would kind of see a shadow, or at the bottom of the body, you would see a shadow. This mid orange color, or I guess this is the lighter orange color, this is the part that goes on top of the wing. So the wing has 2 layers. And so I'm just adding, again, a little bit of dimension with that with a pale orange color. And then this is the little feathery piece on the head. I just went in with a deeper yellow on this brighter yellow to add a bit of contrast, and same with the beak. So I have all of my pieces there, all ink blended so that they have some dimension, and now I'm going to start assembling the bird. So what I like about this die set is it shows you exactly where the pieces should line up. You can see with the die there was a little score line etched into it so that you know exactly how the pieces should line up when you're gluing them together. So I find that really easy, and I really appreciate it. I don't think I'd be able to do it very well without it. You can even see me looking over at the packaging of the die set, because there is an image on the back of it showing how the bird should look, and so I'm kind of peeking over there and making sure I arrange it correctly. Now you saw I kind of started I stuck the tail on and then unstuck the tail because I realized I actually wanted to put the feet on first. So feet on the body first, and then the tail behind it, and then the wings, the bottom layer of the wings, and then the top layer of the wings. This is a really easy set to put together. Pretty straightforward, as long as, like I said, I was referencing that image a lot, but it's a lot of fun, and I think it's one of those things that you could die cut out a whole bunch of different colors and layer them together and create a whole flock of birds. And in this collection, the Cheerful Chirps collection, there are some other bird die sets as well, of cute little critters, so definitely check that out too, because if I would definitely own all of them if I could. So yeah, I should also mention I'm using some Barely Arts glue here with the very narrow nozzle so that it makes it very easy to get in small spaces. You just saw that I glued the white eye behind the head, and that was a bit tricky and needed precision with the glue. And then same with the eye here in the center. So I'm just adding all these little details. With this, it's a little blush spot on the cheek of the bird, and there's a little outline on the head so you knew exactly where that was supposed to go to, and same with the beak. So yeah, just puzzling it all together, which I find to be a lot of fun. And I would also say tweezers are a must for this process, because the pieces are so small, especially if you have longer nails like I do. It's difficult to manage them. So this is my bird complete. I went ahead and I did use a white gel pen to add some details on highlights, and I just think it looks so cute. I'm really happy with it. So now I'm moving on to my background. I have a piece of teal cardstock here that is 3.5 by 4 3/4, so a little bit smaller than an A2 card, and I have that leafy, I don't even know what to call it. It's a flower-shaped leaf is what it is. And I just die cut it over and over again, 4 times in this one piece of cardstock. This is actually going to be a background, and I liked the idea of creating texture using just one die from the set. This is definitely a technique that could be used with other die sets if you have a floral set, die cutting out flowers. And now you can see I'm ink blending over that. So I'm actually taking a color of ink that matches the background or the color of the paper, and I'm just ink blending from the centers of the flower of the leaves outwards. And that's just going to add dimension so you can kind of see the contrast of the flowers. Rather than when I put it on the same color cardstock, it doesn't blend in exactly, if that makes sense. So once I was happy with that, I'm die cutting out the next piece of my background, which is an arch frame. So I'm die cutting an arch out, and I'm keeping the outer edge and putting the arch itself away for another project. I have a bunch of foam tape on the back of my flower. I keep calling it a flower piece. It's a leaf piece technically, and I'm popping that up on a A2 card base, so that's 4 1/4 by 5.5 folded, and I'm just placing that right in the center, and then the frame of the arch will go right over top. But before I do that, there were a couple pieces of my background here that were kind of moving in the wind, so I'm using a little bit of foam tape just cut down into itty bitty pieces and tucking that underneath, so that when going through the mail, it will stay nice and firm. And now I'm using my liquid glue all around this frame. This is the same size, maybe it's a little tiny bit bigger than the piece I already adhered down to my card base, but it will cover it right up. I'm still leaving a border around the outside. And I'm really happy with how that looks. I love a tone-on-tone background, and by adding that texture and the dimension, it doesn't feel just so plain. Now, I did want even more contrast. That arch layer blended in too much with the card base, so I'm going around the edges with that same ink blending brush that I used for the leafy background, and I'm just putting a very light layer of ink just on the edges of this paper. I put a piece of white paper in between so that I wasn't ink blending onto the card base as well. So you can see that added just a little bit of contrast. Now I'm going to start assembling all of my fun pieces on top. So I have my little bird here, and I'm just adding the branch under its feet. But I want to see where it's going to line up on my card so that I can get it centered correctly. So you'll see I'm just kind of finagling with that until I'm happy. So the branch is just connected to the feet at this point. And then I lost some footage here, but I popped up the bird on the card with some foam tape. So that is popped up on top. And then I'm starting to glue down the leaves on the branch. So I'm just using my tweezers kind of as a clamp, actually, to get the leaves to adhere and kind of stick while the glue dries. And I'm just moving things around until I'm happy with them. You could do this all day, right? Just getting the composition of it all. And then again, I had some pieces of my leaves that were sticking up. So I'm just using little pieces of foam tape and sticking them underneath so that the leaves are connected down to that arch frame layer. Next, I have a little additional floral piece. So these little flowers on the left there have actually 4 layers to assemble this little tiny flower. So I'm putting the green stems over top of the pink, and then there's a center flower that needs to be added last. So another pink layer and then another green layer. And that will just add detail to the card and add a pop of color. And then I made 2 of these, so you won't see me assemble the second one, but it's the same exact process. You can definitely get creative with colors and everything. So I'll glue that right down on top of my leaves, right in the center there. And then this leaf on the left wasn't stuck down yet, and I decided I actually wanted it to be up a little bit higher behind the branch, just to add some more depth to the card. It wasn't fitting behind my bird because I had already stuck that down with foam tape, so I just needed to cut off some of the edges so I could tuck it underneath. So I'll go ahead and glue that one down and then add that second floral bunch right on top of there. Now I also created another little floral bundle for this top corner. These are the other flowers in the set. They're just a stem, the 2 pink floral pieces, so there's a front and a back, and then the middle circle for the center. It's very straightforward, but here I'm just gluing all of these pieces together because I had assembled it how I wanted it, and then I just picked it all up with my tweezers to glue them all together and glue them down to the card. And then off camera, I also heat embossed my sentiment, and I just fussy cut around that. Like I said, this set doesn't have a coordinating die set for the sentiments, but it was very easy just to fussy cut around it. You can also just trim it down to be a rectangle. And I just did that on the same color cardstock as my card base, and that finishes the card. I'm so happy with how this card turned out. I love the deep blues as well as the pops of color and the tropical feel of it all. If you have any questions about today's card, go ahead and leave a comment down below. Otherwise, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and definitely consider subscribing to the ScrapbookPal channel here because there's always more creative inspiration coming your way. So I hope you enjoy the rest of your summer, and I'll see you again soon. Bye!